Hey YouTube, swing arm bearings on a 2003 Honda 250EX. I couldn't find any videos. I did the rear bearings and put it all back together and noticed there was quite a bit of slop. So yeah, so I went ahead and I'm going to do these as well. So if you haven't already pulled your swing arm off, just undo your brake line and handbrake line, your shock, and you'll have two vent hoses. One comes off your differential, like a regular vehicle, and the other comes off your brake drum, so it can breathe and not breathe water. So you'll also need to take this little drive shaft boot off. I took the back side off. I don't really think it really matters, but I took the bigger side off. And you're going to need to be able to remove these, which are a 17mm Allen, which I picked up right there at Napa for I think $6. But this will be the one you get off the passenger side, and then the one on your driver's side will be this one. And you do not have to remove this to get it out. I used my 1/2-inch ratchet with a 2-foot extension for my breaker bar. So in all, 3 to 4 feet of bar. Yes, they're really tight. I did not run my impact on them. I wanted to, feel how tight they were. I didn't want to shear them. Anyway, to put this back in, you can either go to Harbor Freight and buy like a socket that'll just fit over the threads, and use your grinder and a Sharpie to mark where, and grind to make your own. Or I'm going to try to just be able to reach in there and snug it down, maybe with some Loctite or something, and save the extra $5, but or whatever. So anyway, you'll need to take those two out, and then your swing arm, if you already have the wheels off, will be a lot easier instead of, like I said, putting it back together like I did. And you can pull it off. Now you'll have obviously this. I actually had to reach in and just barely pry between this and the flange on the back to get this to come off. It wasn't like hard. I just had to do a little bit. But then you can check your U-joints on this, and there's actually a smaller shaft in here that is and a spring in the back. So if you take this off and you let the front go down, the shaft will slide out, and my spring stayed, and your gear lube will come with it. So anyway, just be careful. That little shaft's in the middle and it's spring loaded. Now when you get to the bearings, when I looked on eBay, they showed two types. They showed the regular needle bearings like my dirt bikes had, and then they showed a tapered bearing like a car wheel bearing. I was like, oh shoot, I don't know which one these things have. I don't have a manual. So I went ahead and pulled it apart first, and they are tapered. And this is what I got out. This is a little puck that goes on the inside of here, and you'll see them when you take yours apart. And then obviously the rest of my bearings. This is my daughter's quad, and we just gotten back from Winchester Bay and Boxcar Hill, so I knew they were going, but they're definitely, she had me right. I'm like, yeah, they're pretty shot. But anyway, I ended up having to grind a little groove where the bearings were riding, so my slide hammer had something to grab onto, because there's really no space on the backside for anything for your slide hammer to hook to. And so anyway, that might help. And then the first one, yeah, I got better at the second one. Anyway, this one I actually tried to grind the race like a way. I was going to grind one whole side off, and I got it thin enough and chipped a couple chunks out and kept getting it thin enough, and then threw my slide hammer in there, and I actually did get just enough bite to get that one to come loose. But this was a much easier. This took me about a quarter of the time, just grinding that little groove for a slide hammer, expandable end with the slide hammer to get it out. And then you'll just put your new back cup and tap your race in. I used a 1 1/8" socket to tap those in. I just used the back side and just lightly, gently tap. And once it gets to the back, you'll hear it, because it'll just, tap, 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 and then you'll have more like a ping when it actually goes all the way in. And you'll just pack your tapered bearing. You can do the palm pack, or if you have a little packing machine, which I have underneath there, Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. And you'll get a couple seals. I went through a guy to get my parts called All Balls. That's the part number. And I used him as well to get the seals and bearings for the differential. And fast shipping and great prices and everything, you know, same quality. So shout out to him, I guess, since this stuff went well. And while I'm here, just in case anybody's going to do the rear bearings at the same time, those two nuts on the back. I hadn't found a video on YouTube where anyone mentions the size, so I just used my micrometer and came up with 1.5 inches for the nuts. The inside nut is too thin for a standard wrench. The outside one, you can just use a pipe wrench. The super fine thread, so be careful. But they're 1.5 inches, so I just went to Sears and got a Craftsman. Has two sizes on 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, but I just used my grinder and thinned her out a bit so she could fit. A cheaper option, I didn't think about it till it was too late, was Harbor Freight. And then this is that socket I got. So anyway, I'm gonna put this beast back together and use some marine grease. And if this helps anyone, awesome, because I kind of went at this blind. And we'll see how she turns out.